Hello and welcome to our next edition of our B5 the living body topic, and during today's lesson we're going to be looking at blood repairs and how blood is able to help our body develop and deal with difficult situations. Here are our objectives. Okay, so by the end of this lesson on blood repairs, you should know and understand how blood clots are able to repair different parts of the body and what the different blood groups are and why they are different. Now, when you develop as a fetus, your body can actually be damaged and become faulty before you're actually born. Now, one of the big problems that people can be born with is something called a hole in the heart. Now, on here we can see the left atrium and the right atrium, the left ventricle and the right ventricle. Now, what we've got in between in the septum here is we've got a hole where it hasn't developed fully. Now, what this means is that we can get deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood swapping sides of the heart. Now, this can actually cause people to feel a lot of loss of breath and can not be developing properly. Now, it's not a massive problem, and this can be closed with surgery. Now, what normally happens is the mother's blood, which passes into the fetus, like so. Okay, it causes the blood to mix within the development of the fetus. So you've got the mother's blood coming in, and then it can go through the hole in the heart and travel round to the rest of the body as well. Now, before you need to have a heart transplant, one of the other problems that you might have is faulty valves, and this is where the atrioventricular or the semilunar valves can become damaged or weakened. Now, these are what we call faulty valves. Now, the faulty valves can be treated and can be replaced by artificial valves. Now, there are several things that you can do if you have a damaged heart, and one of them is you can have a heart transplant, or you can have a replacement part put in. Now, there are obviously advantages and disadvantages of the two. Now, first of all, we'll look at the advantages of having a pacemaker and valves over a heart transplant. Now, it's less chance of rejection if you have a pacemaker or valves put in, and there's also less traumatic on the body. Now, in terms of the disadvantages, these include replacing the parts. Now, we did talk about the coronary artery that supplies the oxygen and glucose for respiration of the heart. Now, one of the problems that we can have with this is that if you have high cholesterol, then you can get high blood pressure. Now, if you get this in the coronary artery, this is known as coronary heart disease. Now, to get past this, you might need to have bypass surgery, and this means that you get blood vessels from the leg replace the coronary arteries to make sure that we get the blood flow correct. You can also have heart assist devices that pump blood around the body rather than using the heart if you've got a weakened heart muscle. Now, most of you will have heard of blood clots and what they actually are, and you get a nice little scab when they form, like this one here. Now, what the scab is it's where the blood clots, and it causes the skin to actually repair itself. Now, what happens is the blood contains something called a platelet, and here's a little diagram of some platelets. Now, what they do is they cause fibrin, which are the protein fibres that cause the clot. Now, what they do is they seal up the cut and allow the cells to reform from these platelets. Now, What they will also do is they'll prevent pathogens from actually getting into the cut and into the body. Now, in order to help with this, you need a couple of ingredients. Vitamin K is the first one, and that's needed for lots of blood, or for normal blood clotting to occur. And vitamin C, which you can get from vegetables and fruit, promotes healthy blood clotting, whereas things like cranberries and alcohol will slow down that blood clotting procedure. Now, blood clotting can also cause a problem. Now, if you get an abnormal blood clot or a partial blood clot, it can cause the high blood pressure, and it can cause the blood to flow less efficiently. Now, what this is called thrombosis, and you may have heard of deep vein thrombosis that you get from a lot of flying. Now, if you can get thrombosis, it's basically a clot within an artery or vein, and it can, if it breaks loose, it can move to the heart, move to the brain, and it can cause the blood to, or blockages within that, and it can actually be quite dangerous and fatal. Now, to get rid of this, you might need to use a drug called an anticoagulant. Now, these include drugs such as aspirin, warfarin, and heparin. And what these do is they reduce blood clots. Now, other than blood clotting being a problem, a lack of blood clotting can be a problem as well. A lack of blood clotting is known as haemophilia, and this means that your blood can't clot as well as it should. Now, with blood groups, there are 4 different types of blood group. They are normally A, B, AB, and O. Now, there are other markers on the red blood cells that can give you an indication as to the type of blood that you are. Now, these markers are known as proteins, and they occur on the red blood cells. Now, if you have these proteins, you are what's known as rhesus positive, and the protein that you've got is the rhesus protein. Now, if you don't have it, you can guess what it's called. It is rhesus negative. Now, the blood group, the AB, and 0 or O, is linked to another protein marker called agglutinins. Now, if you are a blood group A, you have A agglutinins protein in your blood. If you're a B group, you have the B agglutinins, and if you are an AB, you have both the A and the B. Now, if you are a O, then you will have none of the proteins. Now, blood transfusions occur very often, and it saves millions of lives of people who require surgery or have had accidents. Now, the National Blood Transfusion Service collects blood from volunteers. Now, the donors will go to a centre where they will have blood levels taken, and then they'll have half a litre, which is 500 centimetre cubed of blood or haemoglobin taken from the vein in their arm. Now, the blood is then stored in a sealed package ready for a patient that will need it. Now, some people carry donor cards to let people know that they are able to give blood, and it can also be on people's driving licenses as well. Now, the blood group of the donor needs to be matched to the person that's receiving the blood. Now, we need to match it to see what type of blood the donor is and what the receiver is. Now, if you've got a blood group A, you'll have the agglutinins protein A, and you contain antibodies for Aglo B, which means you can accept blood from blood donors A and 0, but you can donate blood to A and AB. Now B, you've got the B protein and you've got the anti-A antibodies, which means you can accept blood from B and O, but you can donate to B and AB. Now AB, you've got the A and B, you've got no antibodies, so you can accept blood from all blood types, but you can only donate to AB. Now if you are a blood type O, you've got no proteins, which means you've got antibodies for the anti-A and anti-B, which means you can only accept blood from other O groups, but you can donate to all people. Now O is the most common blood group, and it's really in demand because you can donate to all types of blood. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this edition. We have looked at heart defects such as the hole in the heart. We have looked at how we can repair that. We've looked at problems with blood clots and blood groups, and we've also looked at donating blood as well. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.